Hey everyone. Now that we're comfortable factoring trinomials when a is equal to 1, we're going to take a look at examples where a is going to be greater than 1. So let's look at an example so you see what I'm talking about. So factoring trinomials when a is 1, we're going to be using something called the slide, divide, bottoms up method. I know that sounds a little wacky, but it's a way for you to remember which steps come first and how to do questions like this. So let's get started. It says factor completely. 8x squared plus 11x plus 3. So the first thing you should notice is that the number in front of x squared is not 1. We don't have an invisible 1 here. We have an 8. So that we cannot factor it the way we normally would, where we just find two numbers that add to 11 multiply to 3. That's not factorable in the way that we have it set up right now. So first thing we're going to do is slide. We're going to take our a value, we're going to multiply our a value to the c value, and then that's going to become our new c value. So take a look at what I'm about to do. I'm going to take this 8, I'm going to multiply it by 3. So 8 times 3 equals 24. So that's my first step. Multiply a and c. Now this 24 is going to become our new c value. I'm going to get rid of the a value. It's going to become 1 now, so I'm going to just bring it down. We're not going to have an 8 in front. Bring down the 11x plus, and now instead of 3, we're going to write 24. So that's where the 24 comes from. We multiplied 8 and 3, got 24. So now the next step is to factor it. In the form that it's in now, we're able to factor it the way we have been doing it, using that AM method where we find two numbers that add to 11, multiply to 24. Now you can make your table, you can do it mentally, it's up to you. So you have to think, what are two numbers that when I multiply them, they give me 24, and when I add them, they give me 11. After a little bit of thinking about it and writing it down, those two numbers are 8 and 3. I know that that's what we were dealing with up here, but that's not always going to happen. Sometimes it's going to be different, so make sure you think clearly about what this is asking and how to find those two numbers. So I'm going to separate this into x plus 8 and x plus 3, because 8 times 3 is 24, 8 plus 3 is 11. Okay, so we're not done yet. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to divide, or we're going to go bottoms up. So what we do is we divide the constants in the new binomial factors. So constants meaning the numbers without variables, so this 8 and 3. We're going to divide that by the original a value that we had. So this 8 that we multiplied up here, that's what we're going to divide by. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then walk our way through those other steps. So I'm going to divide by 8, divide by 8. Now, in some cases, we're going to be able to simplify the fractions, and in some cases, we're not going to be able to simplify them. So if we can, we just go ahead and simplify this. So this becomes x plus 1. Now here, we have 3 over 8. This is not a fraction that we can simplify. It's an improper fraction, and we don't want improper fractions in our final answer. So if you're left with an improper fraction, that should say fraction, sorry, the denominator goes bottoms up, and we put it in front. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to take this 8, and we're just going to put it right in front of that x. We're going to move it right in front of that x. So this is what we're left with. Open parentheses, 8x plus 3. And that's how we do this when we have a that's greater than 1. Okay, so we slide. It's really slide, factor, divide, bottoms up. So let's take a look at another example. So same thing, we want to factor the following completely. We're going to do the same method because in both of these examples, a is greater than 1. Our leading coefficient here is greater than 1. So I'm going to slide. I'm going to take this 3, multiply it to 2. 3 times negative 2, treat it like a negative 2, is negative 6. So that's going to be my new c term. So x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now let's factor this now that we don't have a value that's greater than 1. Two numbers that when I add them, they give me -5. When I multiply them, they give me -6. Now our our C value is negative, so that tells me that my factors are going to have opposite signs. And the larger one is going to be negative because my B value is negative. So two numbers that when I add them, they give me -5, and when I multiply them, I get -6, are -6 and +1. If you need to, create the table like we talked about in the last slide. That's totally fine. These take a little bit getting used to. You might not be able to do them in your head right away, so please take the time to do that. So now we factored. We need to divide and bottoms up when it applies. So I'm going to divide both of these values by my original A value, which was 3. So I'm going to divide 3, divide 3. Now I'm going to note where I can simplify fractions and where I can't. -6, we can divide by 3. That's -2. So this becomes x minus 2. And then in this case, we cannot simplify 1 over 3, so that's going to go bottoms up. So I'm going to take this 3, put it right in front. So that becomes 3x plus 1. So we can divide here. We couldn't divide here, so we put that right in front, bottoms up. A way to check this is you can do the box method or double distribute. That's always a really great way to check this, especially if this is on any kind of exam that you're taking. It's a really easy way to check it. Okay, last one, 5y squared plus 9y minus 2. Same thing. This is bigger than 1, so we're going to multiply 5 times -2 is -10. So that's going to be our new C term. Y squared plus 9y minus 10. That C value is negative, so I know we're going to have different signs here, and the bigger number is going to be positive. So what I want to do here is find two numbers that when I add them, they give me a +9, and when I multiply them, they give me -10. And this number here tells me that my bigger number is going to be positive. So like I said before, create your table if you need to. That's totally fine. Just for sake of time, I'm going to move a little faster for this. So the two numbers that when I add them, they give me +9. When I multiply them, they give me -10, are +10 and -1. And remember, that should be positive. Doesn't matter which order you put it in, as long as the y goes first and then followed by whatever constant you just found. -1 plus 10 is +9. -1 times 10 is -10. Now let's divide that by our original A value, which was 5. So let's divide by 5. This fraction we're not able to simplify, so this we're going to do bottoms up. So it's going to look like this. 5y minus 1. And then the second one, we notice that we can simplify this. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So this becomes y plus 2. So we just divided that and it became 2. Okay, like I said, you can always check this by doing the box method. So just remember, slide, factor, divide, bottoms up. So it doesn't matter what order it's in. You might have to divide second. You might have to do bottoms up first. It depends on whatever scenario you're left with. Just make sure if it's an improper fraction, you do bottoms up. If it's a fraction that can be simplified, like 10 over 5 or -6 over 3, make sure you divide that and put it in your parentheses. Good luck.